Hello friends, my name is Ryan, and today I am going to tell you a story named The Ghost Bride's Anklets, Echoes of Death at Midnight. This is a very amazing story, full of twists and turns, and I promise you, it will keep you at the edge of your seat. So let's begin, and let the suspense unfold. It was a dark, moonless night in a small village nestled at the foot of the mountains. The wind whispered secrets through the trees, and the air carried an eerie chill that sent shivers down the spines of those brave enough to venture outside after sunset. The villagers spoke in hushed tones about the legend of the ghost bride, a tale that had haunted the community for decades. No one could remember when it all began, but the story was passed down through generations. It was said that a young woman, beautiful and full of life, had been betrothed to a wealthy merchant. The wedding was set to take place on a night just like this, a night when the full moon shone bright, casting an otherworldly glow over the land. But tragedy struck when the bride mysteriously vanished the night before the ceremony, her body never found, and her disappearance remained a mystery. It wasn't long before strange things began to happen. People claimed to hear the soft tinkling of anklets in the dead of night, the sound echoing through the village, followed by whispers in the wind. No one could explain it, but the villagers were sure of one thing: the bride's spirit was not at rest. As the years passed, the legend of the ghost bride grew stronger. The ghostly presence was said to appear on the anniversary of her disappearance, walking through the streets of the village, her anklets making a haunting melody that sent chills through the bravest of souls. Those who dared to approach her were never seen again, their fate sealed by the restless spirit of the bride. One cold evening, a curious young man named Eerie, a skeptic who didn't believe in such tales, decided to test the legend. Armed with nothing but his courage and a flashlight, he ventured into the village at midnight, determined to uncover the truth. As Eerie walked through the narrow, cobblestone streets, he could feel the weight of the night pressing down on him. The wind howled, but the village was eerily silent. No sounds of life, no movement in the windows, just the distant echoes of his own footsteps. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him, but he shrugged it off as his imagination running wild. He made his way to the old mansion at the edge of the village, where the bride was said to have lived. The mansion had long been abandoned, its windows shattered, its doors creaking in the wind. As he stepped inside, the air was thick with dust and decay. It was as though time had stood still in this place, the walls echoing with memories of a time long past. He walked through the dark, forgotten halls, the beam of his flashlight flickering as if reluctant to illuminate the shadows. Suddenly, a sound broke the silence, the soft, unmistakable tinkle of anklets. It was faint at first, barely audible, but then it grew louder, more distinct, until it was all Eerie could hear. His heart raced, and he froze in place. The sound was coming from upstairs. Against his better judgment, Eerie climbed the rickety staircase, each step creaking beneath his weight. As he reached the top, the sound of the anklet stopped. A cold draft swept through the hallway, carrying with it a faint scent of roses. He looked around, but there was no sign of anyone. His flashlight flickered again, and for a moment, the darkness seemed to swallow him whole. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw her. A figure, pale as death, standing at the end of the hallway. She wore a wedding dress, torn and stained, and the sound of her anklets was louder now, echoing off the walls like the distant toll of a bell. Her eyes were hollow, her face a mask of sorrow and longing. Eerie's heart pounded in his chest as he took a step toward her, but his body refused to move. It was as though an invisible force held him in place, and the bride's mournful gaze never left him. Slowly, she began to glide toward him, her movements unnatural, like a puppet on strings. The temperature in the room dropped, and the air grew thick with an oppressive weight. Eerie could barely breathe as the bride came closer, her face contorted in agony, her hands reaching out as if begging for something. Her anklets made a deafening sound now, louder than ever before, as if demanding attention. In a voice that sounded like the wind itself, she whispered, "Find my anklets, or join me in the dark." Eerie's mind raced. He knew the legend, he had heard it countless times as a child. The anklets were the key to the bride's restless spirit, and if he could find them, he could put her soul to rest. But where were they? The bride's form flickered, and in an instant, she vanished, leaving behind only the soft sound of her anklets echoing in the empty hallway. Arif, his fear now mixed with determination, searched the mansion with renewed vigor. He scoured every room, every corner, but the anklets were nowhere to be found. Then, just as he was about to give up, he stumbled upon a hidden room in the mansion's basement. The door creaked open, and inside, he found a dusty old chest. His hands trembling, he opened it, and there, inside, lay a pair of silver anklets, their bells glistening in the dim light. As he reached out to take them, the ground beneath him trembled, and the bride's voice filled the air. "You have found them, but will it be enough?" Before Arif could react, the mansion seemed to come alive. The walls shook, the wind howled, and the air grew thick with an overwhelming sense of dread. The bride's apparition appeared once again, this time standing directly in front of him, her face a twisted mask of fury and sorrow. With the anklets in his hands, Arif whispered, "I will set you free." In that moment, the bride's form dissolved into mist, and the mansion fell silent once more. The air cleared, and the oppressive weight lifted. The anklets had done their job, and the bride's spirit had finally found peace. Arif, exhausted and shaken, left the mansion at dawn, the anklets still in his hands. The village, once cursed by the ghost of the bride, was now free from her haunting presence. But Arif would never forget that night, the night when he had come face to face with the ghost bride. So friends, the story of the ghost bride's anklets, Echoes of Death at Midnight, comes to an end. But remember, the shadows hide many more secrets, and the echoes of the past are never truly gone. If you want to hear more tales that will chill your bones and leave you breathless, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and join us for more stories, where the thrill of the unknown awaits. Thank you for listening, and until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and stay tuned.